Hey trainers, Alakaham here with some more Pokemon video magic. And it has been a little while since I've uploaded a video. I've been very busy with school and with work, but I'm excited to share some of my gameplay from the Evolution Cup. I did drop quite a bit of ELO while we were working on Open Master League and Master League Premier Classic, so I've been working to gain that back with the Evolution Cup. And my spice pick that I think is going to make for a fun video is I am going to be running Electabuzz. And Electabuzz is one of the original 150 Kanto Pokemon, but through the process of adding more Pokemon generations and games and such through the years, Electabuzz ended up having a smaller evolution and a bigger evolution. So because it's a middle form, it does qualify for the Evolution Cup here. So in the bulk of these battles, I'm going to be running the, whatever the fighting type fast move. It has low kick, because there's quite a few things that are weak to fighting in this cup, but low kick ended up being a lot, even worse than I thought it was going to be. I knew it would be bad, but I thought that I would make up some of the lost energy in terms of the super effective damage that I could bring in. But look, low kick was like barely even doing anything to the Magnezone there. So low kick, not great. Takes a long time to generate energy, even for moves that don't take that much energy, like Thunder Punch. So yeah, hopefully that means, because running low kick makes it a lot more tricky to use, that maybe these battles will be a little more interesting and fun. But I'm also going to showcase a game or two at the end where I'm running Thunder Shock instead of low kick, and that works much better. And then I also recently built an XL Dusclops, and it's pretty fun to run. So I thought I would maybe add a bonus battle with the XL Dusclops, and I'm running a non-standard moveset that comes in handy for this particular cup. So hopefully that gives you something to look forward to as we get through a few of these battles. Alright, so I have more or less rambled on through the first of these battles, but it seems like I'm in pretty good shape here. I decide that I'm going to go ahead and let the Vigoroth go, because I want my electric type to have a shield in the back here. And you know what? That was the wrong choice, because low kick is going to take entirely too much time to build energy, and those resisted fast moves are not going to add up quickly enough for me to farm down this Golbat. What I should have done was shield up the Vigoroth, preserve the energy, so that I could pressure shields, and then I could come in with the Electabuzz. So that would have been the preferred strategy there. But as in many of my battle sets, the first one ends up kind of being a learning experience, and then we move on and do better going forward. So what you saw right there is another reason why I added some bonus battles, is because some of these were more or less just gimmies. Apparently that person felt that they had been rock, paper, scissored, so they just went ahead and conceded the match, which is fine. Sometimes we don't have time to be playing out seemingly losing matchups. Okay, so getting into the third battle here, whenever I see a Golbat on the lead, I go ahead and safe swap into my Zweilous, the old two-headed dragon there, actually the young two-headed dragon. Its big brother is the old one. But anyway, the strategy is to go ahead and make the swap, and usually the Golbat will throw its energy because they want to get a Poison Fang through, and that way they're energy dry whenever I come back in with the next Pokemon. So Vigoroth with a shield and or energy advantage can put a lot of pressure on Golbat. So if it comes back in here, yeah, which it does, I can go ahead and start throwing body slams, and we are way ahead on energy. I went ahead and swapped in my Electabuzz because, I mean, if we're being honest, the Vigoroth is going to be the win con in most of these games. Vigoroth beats most things. And for some reason, my opponent is staying in with the Golbat, so maybe they are weak to Electabuzz in the back. We'll see. And no, not really. I mean, okay, so they bring in a Porygon 2, which is a very cool pick for this cup, by the way. I really like Porygon 2. Tri-Attack charges up really quickly. So I either need 3 Body Slams or to just farm down. So my opponent kind of, knew where this was going and stopped tapping there. So yeah, Porygon is very glassy. So if it's in an even shield situation with something like a Vigoroth, it is going to have very serious problems. But it's still a cool pick. If it were me, I'd probably be running Porygon up front so that it has lots of shields and everything. And but hey, everybody has a different strategy. So here's another kind of interesting pick. Don't see this middle evolution very often. And I always thought this Pokemon was funny because I think it looks like a sheep, even though it is a dragon. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Zweilous. And that was a good shield because they had a dragon type move, even though it's weak. Twister does not do all that much damage. It would have done quite a bit to the Zweilous. So my opponent brings in an Ursaring, and it's kind of interesting that Ursaring is allowed here because it does have a bigger evolution, but that evolution is not available in Pokemon Go yet. So they made the choices they made and what they would allow into this cup, and by they, of course, I mean Niantic here. So yeah. All right, my opponent brings in this little foxy guy. And is it Delphox or is that the bigger one? Some of the names of these Pokemon that don't show up in the meta all that often are starting to escape me. So they are very likely, okay, I thought they were going to get to a move, which would have been bad. Because Electabuzz does not tank moves all that well. But I noticed, especially with running Thundershock, if you give it a shield, it can be a really, really good closer because if you have moves that charge up really fast, like Thunder Punch, then you can usually do quite a bit of damage in the end. There are lots of Pokemon that are either neutral or take super effective damage from Electric, so I've been a little surprised not to see more Electabuzz or honestly Charjabug. Charjabug is a pretty good pick for this particular cup as well, and I haven't seen very many people using it. I've used it a bit and like it pretty well. But I hadn't seen anyone use Electabuzz, so that's why I thought it could be fun to put Electabuzz in a video. Alright, so Dragonair is more or less ripping all of my Pokemon apart. I swapped in my Zweilous because I needed that super effective fast move damage. And this is a pretty good situation here because my opponent brings in Haunter, and everything but a potential Ice Punch charge move is going to be resisted. So even though my charge move was resisted there, Haunter is so glassy that the sheer fast move damage, right, from Zweilous' Dragon Breath was just obliterating it. So I came in with my Electabuzz there because obviously when I'm running low kick, I'm going to need a little bit of a head start on energy, and that farming down the Haunter gave me a little bit of that head start there. I'm not going to bother shielding here because we're going to be doing super effective damage with our fast moves on Vig, and even though we're taking super effective damage as well, we are certainly going to outpace the Ursaring to our charge moves. Body Slam is such a cheap charge move in terms of like energy cost. Ursaring only has access to nuke moves, things that just do lots of damage, but they require more energy, right? Yeah, so headed into another match here. Are we in the same set? Was that 4, 5? I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what moves I'm running on the Pokemon here. Alright, so y'all know the drill here. We're going to safe swap into our Zweilous and hopefully draw out something that is weak to Vigoroth, which we do, and this is good for us here too because Body Slam does neutral damage instead of resisted damage. And yeah, I go ahead and let that go because the idea here is to get shield and or energy advantage. So I'm going to come in with the Vigoroth, shield once because Avalanche does hit pretty hard and that neutral damage would do quite a bit here. So we're just going to take energy advantage, and my opponent comes in with their own Vigoroth. That's fine. I already have 2 Body Slams loaded, and that is at the very least going to force a shield here, which I think is great. Clearly they did not want that energy on their Golbat, so their plan here is going to be to close with the Golbat, and that's fine by me because little do they know I've got my electric type in the back here. So Buzz is going to have to take a move. And can we get to the Thunder Punch? Yes, we can. And I must be running Thunder Shock here because running Thunder Shock. So the moves just charge faster, even though the fast move doesn't do super effective damage to things that are normal type. I think we make up for it in the sheer charge time alone. And Thunder Shock can chunk HP a bit there. It can certainly chunk away at the health of the opponents. So I'm going to go ahead and do another bonus battle. Okay, so the first bonus battle was more or less like just to make up for the fact that we had a concession in the original set. And so I'm going to add a real bonus battle here, one that was actually not anticipated. So leading with the Vigoroth again, come up into the mirror match. I threw right away on that one. I don't normally do that because I normally just try to sneak in an extra counter, but here, I was going for the swap and my opponent did the same thing. So they were either watching really closely or anticipated what I would do. Either way, that is very impressive maneuvers on my opponent's part here. And in this set, I'm running the Big Bat, and I went ahead and went straight for the Shadow Ball because I would either get the shield or do like massive super effective damage to this thing. And honestly, I think that Golbat Vigoroth is the strongest core that I've been able to come up with for the Evolution Cup. I go for a bait there and my opponent doesn't go for it, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and let the Golbat go, and then I'm going to come in and throw this move because I really need to get this Dusclops out of here. The opponent's Dusclops has access to all kinds of really, really hurtful moves for my whole team. So my opponent has a spicy pick here. They've got a Nidoran, and I'm going to go ahead and start throwing Ice Punches. And you'll notice that whereas I normally run Shadow Punch for the other move, for this particular cup, I'm also running Fire Punch. And why am I not hitting the bubbles here? What? Oh, it's because they caught. Yeah, that's really unfortunate and frustrating. I was overly eager throwing the move and forgot about the switch timers there. But fortunately for me, Nidorino doesn't really have access to moves that are going to be very effective here. They do reach that Ice Beam, which does neutral damage, but XL Dusclops is just so thick, y'all. It can really tank a lot of damage, and I think mine can still be powered up one more time. So yeah, there's always that. And I'm gonna go ahead and do one more with the Dusclops because I wanted to showcase like why I picked Fire Punch. It does come in clutch for this particular cup. So I might go back to running Shadow Punch once the Evolution Cup is done, but for now, when there's things like Piloswine out there, I'm really going to want that Fire Punch here. Okay, so my opponent has a Charmeleon, and this is probably just a Fire Punch, but I would really like to keep my Vigoroth as healthy as possible here because Vigoroth usually has a lot of play all across the opening and the end game. So I don't know why I did this. I guess just because I had the energy close by. So I'm going to bring in my own Golbat here, and I did chunk them enough that, ooh, and I had to eat a Shadow Ball. I did chunk them enough that a Poison Fang plus some wing attacks should be enough to farm them down here, but unfortunately they reach a move, and I'm going to let this go because more or less I'm saving shields for the Dusclops. I feel like Dusclops is going to have a lot of play in the end game. So their Charmeleon is more or less done. I just have to watch out for if they use it as a third shield. And this is why I'm running Fire Punch, is because I kept running into Piloswine. So Fire Punch is going to be doing super effective damage, and I'm able to get the third shield there. Very exciting. So sack the Vig, and then come in to throw another Fire Punch. My opponent has to use their last shield here because their Charmeleon is not healthy enough to close out this game against my Dusclops, right? So I'm going to shield that up, and they swapped into Charmeleon immediately. Not sure why. Maybe they thought they were close enough to a Fire Punch that they could do some chip damage, but Dusclops charges pretty quickly, so unless you're right there at the move, then Dusclops is probably going to outpace there. So I had a lot of fun running these teams. I think Electabuzz with Thunder Shock, not with Low Kick, is actually pretty good. It's a potentially very strong choice for the Evolution Cup, especially because of its end-game potential. And running XL Dusclops has been pretty fun too. It has access to all different kinds of moves with different typings, so that's been really fun and given some flexibility to my usual core team there. I hope you all enjoyed watching the video. I'll try and have some more content ready for you soon. Please go ahead and leave a like if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you haven't yet so that we can have you around in the little Pokemon Go community I've established here. And I'll talk with you again soon. Until next time, trainers.